Chapter 12, State of Grace, Spring 1999. Mondo left Preston and was sent to another youth lockup in Stockton. He'd be paroling within a year. Mondo heard all about the civil war between Lobo and Copas. Another friend was on Copas' side. He couldn't understand how so many of his friends were at odds with each other. They'd all grown up together, they were all norteños, and most important, they were all Samsters. At the Stockton facility, he got to know a gang coordinator from Salinas who everyone called Dan the Man. Dan the Man told Mondo he could do more for his people by getting a good job and teaching them right. But Mondo had to admit that advice hadn't sunk in yet. Dan let the kids hold meetings with norteños from other buildings. They'd take group pictures and touch base. Sometimes these were innocent gatherings. Other times they dissected the cause and talked business. Mondo repeated the conversation to himself, and miraculously, it was still true. When he called Lissa and she picked up, he laid it on heavy, put on a special sweet and quiet voice, and with all the charm he could muster, let her know the honest truth. He would give up his worst ways and more if only she'd be with him. And Alyssa said yes. She really said yes. She really wanted to be his girl. To her, he was good inside, and she believed him when he said he was changing. Then it got better. She wanted her to live with him when he got out. Said they should go to college and make a life together, away from Salinas. He tried to picture this impossible scenario. Their house, a school campus, waking up with her every day, holding her in his arms every night, and his heart swelled like a balloon about to burst. He understood that he wasn't just crazy about her, he was in love. He wanted to protect her, support her, help her reach her goals. She believed he could make it in college. College, it was impossible to imagine. No one in his family had ever graduated from college. Someone as beautiful and as kind-hearted as Alyssa wanted to be with him. Someone like her saw something in him. Thought he could, no, would be so much more, so much bigger than a punk-ass criminal. Her goodness was contagious, and for the first time since he was a little kid, he felt he could be good too, as if the state of goodness and grace was a distant memory that she'd found and dug out of a secret place in him. If a girl like Alyssa loved him this much, he must be a decent person, right? He must be worth something. Did anyone else in the world see this in him? His mom believed he was innocent and was always convinced that the cops were framing him, but she didn't know the truth. Mondo couldn't come up with the name of one person who wasn't a criminal, who knew the bad things he'd done and still saw something worthwhile in him, who believed he deserved to occupy a better corner of this earth. Only Alyssa. It was a foreign, exhilarating sensation, and it made him strong. He felt a tinge of loss after all the work he'd put in for the cause, but he was sure that Alyssa was his first and last shot at happiness. This U-turn from his expected path in life, the path devoted to the cause, didn't seem at all strange to him. Mondo had a way of living with opposing viewpoints, carrying them together in his soul and marrying their contradictions until they reached a point of peace and made perfect sense. He didn't care about the blood oath anyway. He'd always be a norteño. That was just who he was. It was like a nationality or an ethnicity, and no oath could make it stronger or take it away. In here, he'd do what he had to do for the cause. But outside these walls, he'd be his own man, free to live his life. And that life meant Alyssa. He'd find a way to give his teacher the news. Only occasionally did the thought split his conscience into pieces. Some part of him dreamed of being the big sports star. Another part would always be the proud norteño. Another part just wanted Alyssa. But why did he have to choose? He was young, and he really could have it all. This might just be the happiest he ever felt, complete. In the weeks and months that followed, he propped up the skimpy pillow in his bunk and wrote kind but firm Dear Jane letters to all his other girls. He and Alyssa would get out of Salinas, move to the Bay Area, and he'd work and save while she went to school. And after a while, he'd go to college too. Maybe he could play basketball. Before he fell asleep each night, the miracle of it permeated him the way the sun used to warm his skin on summer days at the lake. Rare moments when he'd float in cool water and see the sky above was limitless. Alyssa's words had arrived in the nick of time. He'd be on the verge of putting the cause above everything, including the one person he loved more than Salinas, his family, his own life. If she'd never dropped this gift into the telephone receiver, he never would have been able to begin again. He only had to stay out of trouble a few more months and he'd make parole. He was barely conscious of it, but a deeper part of him understood that Alyssa had just saved his life.